Hi everyone, welcome to 11 Essential Etudes. I'm Josh Davis. I teach at Penn State, play principal with Williamsport Symphony, freelance around with other regional orchestral groups and chamber orchestras, and I play a bunch of improvised music. These etudes are not meant for classical players alone, nor are they meant for improvisers only, but rather are things I consider very well in support of music making, regardless of style, particularly if you're interested in some rather technically dancing things. So, a bunch of things to cover. This eventually becomes a published series, and not likely for sale for many dollars at all, if any. We'll see about that. But this is a hello, and there's plenty, I hope, that you take from this presentation. Straight to the practice room, though there isn't a publication yet to follow. I'm hoping that a lot of this is conceptual and can be taught, presented, shared in a way that you are able to very creatively adopt right away. So let's get rolling. This first little bit is about throttling in the bow, and it's perfectly fine for those of you who are shoulder-generated string changers, exclusively shoulder-generated. This works too. I play both ways, and I like this in preparation for playing Bach Prelude 1, G major cello, where there's lots of string crossings. Also, let's see, Eccles, last movement, has good opportunity for this technique. I like to use this as a warm-up in the day, oftentimes with very little or even no new rosin to start out with. And for tuning's sake, I like first finger on the A, and just play freely. You can play along with me. You don't have to play the A's at the same time I do, or even the same tempo. First finger on the A, so the first finger to me, and I think I might have oddly sensitive fingertips, but for me, just laying my fingers down on a note for a few moments helps them acclimate to the sense that they're about to endure a whole bunch of pressure. So now I'm on fourth finger C sharp, nice 10th here. And while that fourth finger's down, all other fingers are down in support in a kind of fundamental, let's get started with some mandolin support everybody way. So it's warming up the fingertips, it's warming up the ear. Back to the first finger, but now on a B also. Warming up the ear, and then back to the A. How about with the fourth finger? And then how about a major seventh? Nice sixth here, relatively more consonant, and the notes around it, the G and the F on either side of it, and then to a cadential feeling, maybe E. And so this etude is not intended to be a directive of these pitches in this order for this duration, no, but rather the etude is the notion that you play one finger on a note for a few articulations of it, and you do some listening to build tuning. For me, it's a sense of pitch centering as I start practicing for the day, and also just fingertip and muscles inside the body warm, okay? And then I'll take it a little higher. Do, mi, re, and then up to sol. 1 and 4. 1, down 3, down chromatically. Stay there, do that again. 4, 3, 2, 1, thumb. Or what is that? 3, 2, 1, thumb. I doubled up. also for balance of sound, right? It's really easy for the A string to overwhelm the upper pitches, at least on my bass and the way I play, if I'm not concentrating, which I'm not. So I'd rather practice that again and try to bring up the upper register a little bit more fully. So this can be regimented. You could, of course, play a pedaled exercise on a scale. We could play A major from E. I like to do other things with meter. What's this? Count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then change the bow. So there's one of the 11. Shall we move on? Of course. I think progressive scales are essential. They're so smart. They cover little swaths of keyboard or fingerboard, depending on which kind of bass you might have. They cover little areas over and over. You get to check out how to find that A. Or E even, and this A, and you go back and forth, 1, 4, 2, 4. Right, and then we can do them in 7. This is a thing not a lot of people do. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But I'd like to encourage a little more creativity, and so came into being progressive progressives, Etude 1, the first thing I wrote of this kind. It's meant to highlight what I think are some nice double bass centric musical additions to what is otherwise maybe a little on the dry side, right? The dry side of progressive scale. To G sharp. Well, how about an E natural down below? And here is bar 1 of progressive progressives. How about the next 4-note motif in E major? It would be. Right, but how about throw an A under that baby? And away we go. All right, makes sense? My guys at Penn State will share that I can harp incessantly on good crook positioning. What is a crook? Little Bo Peep, that staff with the hook thing at the end, is that right? I don't know. I think of this as a reverse of that. And whether or not they're good terms or correct terms, it's what we're gonna do. So good crook positioning means you can play low stuff and then bam-o, your thumb goes as you shift up to this mid register on the bass, what Vibrato calls, we call 1, 2nd, 3rd position. Yeah, you have thumb here at the crook, and right away, hopefully, if you have a D neck bass, got a nice D right under your first finger on the G string, right? I call that crook 1. Play down low, bang here, crook 1. Play down low, bang here, but not hand in this position, right? The thumb is here, but instead, just a little further down, we call that with the first finger on an E flat, crook 2. and then Crook 3, and then Crook 4. And the thumb is in Crook 4. It's still hanging out there on the, here's the back of the neck. It's still there. It was nice and centered in Crook 1. And then Crook 2, Crook 3, Crook 4, it's swinging around the side of the neck. A lot of us have this experience. But it has a shape, and it finds that shape with this crook as a reference point, though we're no longer centered on the crook. The crook is still there. We're on the edge of the crook. And the hand knows that shape, and it knows that shape on the G string, and on the D string, and on the A string. Not so much the E string. I barely ever use that, but some of you might, and you'll do it beautifully, I'm sure, with good practice. So, the Etude, crook positioning. A nice D, up to an A with the first finger, and D major stuff. And you'll see in bar 1, it's just a bunch of quarter notes. Bar 2 is the same stuff. Whoops. And then we go on to Crook 2 with a B flat under your first finger, right? So Crook 1 has an A under the first finger on the D string. Crook 2 has a B flat, then a B, then a C. And the page goes through lots of stuff that employ those positions and that employ shifting between those positions while shifting in and out of lowest positions and back to crook. Right? Isn't that Hamilton? I think so. All right, have fun with crook positioning. Take it seriously and find where that lives. In zillions of pieces we play. It's all over the place, where the thumb can help you locate a whole swath of great notes. They're great. All right, have fun. Essential to our success as musicians is chromatic training, chromatic hearing and playing. I'd like to suggest we keep it fairly simple, and even for rather young bassists, we go right into this 1 octave chromatic scale on 1 string. A couple of ways I'd like to have us do it. One is with a very straight ahead fingering of open, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3. And I'd like to suggest we just ascend a handful of times to really build that sense of spacing. And then we'll descend, and in reverse, 3, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, when we descend. Okay, this is one mode of chromatic training. A second suggestion is to play a chromatic scale that begins with an open string, first finger, and then slide to a first finger, chromatic pitch a half step higher. Then drop your second finger, slide to the next pitch up on the second finger. Drop the fourth finger, slide to the next pitch up. So that's an open A, B flat, slide to B, C with the second finger, slide to a C sharp with the second finger. Drop the D, fourth finger drops onto a D, slide up to a D sharp, and then we'll leap up to the crook, thumb back of the neck crook, first finger on an E, and then slide to an F with that first finger. Drop the second finger, F sharp, slide to a G, drop the third finger on a G sharp, slide to the A. We'll come back down similarly, A under the third finger, slide to a G sharp using the third finger. Then lift the third finger. And notice when I was playing the third finger that all other fingers were down in support, just as in ascending. When 2 plays, 1 is behind it. When 4 plays, 1, 2, 3, 4 are behind it. As we descend, let's get in the habit for the moment, and this is of course something we're going to let go of when we're vibrating and playing more sophisticated music, but to start with, third finger has supported behind it 2 and 1. Third finger will slide down to a G sharp, then lift, and we have the G sitting right there, because when we were playing the third finger, we were doing so with great spacing between the other fingers already, in tune spacing. So we'll slide from that A to a G sharp with 3, then lift 3, yielding a G under 2. Slide from that G to an F sharp, lift the F sharp, yielding an F with the first finger, which will play the F, and then slide to an E. And then leap down to a fourth finger D sharp, slide to a D natural, lift the fourth finger, right? All fingers are down when 4 was playing. Lift the fourth finger, a second finger C sharp or D flat, slide to a C, then lift giving us the first finger on a B, slide to a B flat, and then play an open A to finish. Okay, so a couple of ways to practice this chromatic scale. One is very straight ahead fingering of open, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3. And the other is open, 1, 1, 2, 2, 4, 4. And that slide business can feel a little funky when you're playing along with something nice and in tune, which I strongly suggest. And that's okay. It's perfectly excellent training to hear yourself playing a little bit under a pitch and to make the adjustment, right? It's something we're doing under or over, for that matter. We're doing all the time if we're listening and working hard at being great ensemble players. And first finger, second finger, fourth finger on a C. Now first finger on a C sharp, second finger on a D, fourth finger on an E flat or D sharp. First finger shifts up to an E. Second finger on an F, now F sharp with 4. First finger on a G, G sharp with 2, 3. Now you could, of course, descend right away, but I'd like to suggest we're working on the ascent. Full bow. Start up or down, doesn't matter. Nice hand curve. When 2 goes down, 1 stays right where it was. When 4 goes down, everything behind it stays. 1 and 2 stay right where they were. When 4 is down, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, in fact. Now 1 to 1, 2 to 2. 1, slide to 1, 2 goes down on the C, slide up to a C sharp. 4 comes down, slide up to a D sharp. Shifts to a first finger E, slide to an F. Second finger F sharp, slide to a G. Third finger G sharp, slide to an A. Now we're going to come down. I think I programmed 3 times. Yes, third finger A. We use the slides approach first. Second finger G to an F sharp. First finger F. Yes, we're living a bit of dissonance, aren't we? And then work on descending. Of course, we can do that multiple times. And then standard fingering, 3, 2, 1. Now 4. All fingers are down. 2 and 1 are down. Now just 1. Now all 4 fingers will be down on this D sharp, E flat. Fourth finger to a C. And there we go. All right, chromatic training. Of course, we can do this in the upper octave. Should do it in the upper octave. Chromatic scales are all over the place. We've got to have control of them. And if this whole octave business feels daunting initially, I would suggest going ahead with just a portion of the scale. How about up and down that much? And go ahead and do this slowly. Go ahead and do this with some tuning help. Okay, checking the D, checking the B. Right, just practicing one of the shifts involved. Okay, this next etude is dealing with vibrato and a few concepts. I like to teach vibrato with a reach out, grab the door handle approach, and that there's this turning action, that it comes from the elbow largely, but of course as we engage our fingers to the neck on both sides and we try to turn a doorknob, we get locked in position and the hand ends up tracing. I'm making an exaggerated arc, but it ends up tracing an arc. The metronome's at 40. The down stroke, right, as we go down, is how we're going to measure time. So there's going to be down, up, down, up. Of course, there's an upstroke. But we're going to start with 1 down per beat, then move to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and finally 8. I like to do this when I'm hanging out in a rehearsal, needing to be soft because others are working, but I want to occupy my brain a little. Of course, I'm listening to a maestro still, to every word, and always learning. But I'm occupying my brain with leaving my hand on the neck, fingertip, not pushing the string down always, sometimes just playing right on the fingerboard because my fingertips are sore, or if they're not, press the string down. Of course, both are, I think, reasonable paths to productivity. Down, 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 and then double it. Down, 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 down. So when you go down for 2 portions of the beat, of course, you're also going up for 2 portions of the beats. So there are 4 events happening. 1 E and 2 E and, right? It's fine. I'm not even making sound yet. I will soon. Then we'll cut the beat into 3 parts and make each of those 3 a down motion. And with each of these motions, at this speed, at these speeds, I am touching the neck with the side of the hand, that karate shuto strike, right? This bottom edge touches the neck, and then the ridge hand comes up. I remember in a Taekwondo magazine I got in Connecticut when I was in grade school. It was very exciting. They showed the ridge hand. This part of the hand touches the neck on the up, down, down. And of course this is a slightly larger motion than we would use in real life because we wouldn't want to beat our bass up, nor would we want to hurt our hands, nor would we want a vibrato that's that wide that we run into the instrument. But I do believe in this as a useful internal training for the gesture, for the physical gesture. So down, down, down. Now we're cutting the beat into 2 parts. Down, up, down, up, down, up, and then 3 parts. Tri-pa-let, tri-pa, which means down, 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 down. 3, 1, 2, 3, right? 3 parts. And you can move around a bit, reach your finger over to the E string or beside the E string, come back, come up to the higher strings, down, down, down. And I'm still grazing, this is very light, but I'm still grazing the neck here, touching, and then touching, down, up, down, up, down, up. And then we're going to cut the beat into 4 parts, right? 1 E and 2 E and that's going to be down, 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 down. Have fun? Are you having fun yet? Down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Right? 8 events in the beat if you count the ups, but I'm thinking 16th notes to just regulate the downs. All right, using a bit of Bach now to practice vibrato. I like this particular excerpt from his C minor cello suite slow movement because it carries us through a bunch of different fingers. We're going to start with the G on the D string, with the 2nd finger, 4th finger E flat, 1st finger B on the A string, right? So that E flat was on the A string, the B on the A string, as is this 2nd finger C, and then E string A flat. Okay? That pattern of 2, 4, 1, 2 is going to repeat, but up here on the G string, on a C. 2 on that C, 4, A flat, 1st finger E, right? Same thing, mirroring, just up a 4th. 2nd finger F, 1st finger B. Here's where things get different. D on the G string. A flat with 2. Back to the E, F. Then a low G. Octave. F. E flat on the A string. B. C. And then in box writing. Okay, this is on a low C. And I'm convinced he wrote that piece for C extension double bass, cello-ish mellow. So we're cutting the beat into 4 parts. 1 E and first finger B. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, C. Such a wide vibrato, it can feel a little wild to tune. It does to me. remember, this is about D. This is about training the body with an exaggerated motion early on, which of course we pare down. Watch your piano there, your pianist. First finger B, C. Right? Cut the beat into 4 parts. Got a funny buzz, so I have to keep closing that again. Now we cut the beat into 5 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. Right? 5 digits, nice and even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Here we go. 6 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Duck, 2, duck. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. You should practice. We should do all that we just did with a narrower vibrato, right? Do this for a few days, weeks, and then come back to it and say, all right, well, I want to do 3/4 of what I view as maximum vibration. And then come back and say, oh, all right, I want to do 5/8 of what I view as maximum. You know, explore the size, changing the size of your vibrato and being very deliberate about just how big it is. Cool? Makes sense? My students at Penn State will tell you they get wacky emails from time to time entitled Bow Love. I like to do this work both with a closed note, right? Playing a note fingered with the left hand some of the time, and with open strings some of the time, because those things feel very different in the body, and of course we are required to be able to do both of those things. I recommend getting started with a closed note. Why not? Start with something that is a little more restful for the right arm. And then, yeah, you can change pitches as you wish. How about this E here on the D string? So what we're going to do is begin at the tip, metronome's at 40, choose an elevation, keep that elevation as best you can, find the bow speed that lets you have a consistent sound from tip to frog and frog to tip. Be thinking about, because we're going to play 4 beats and then change the bow, be thinking about quarters of your bow, using approximately 1/4 of your bow for each beat. Ready? Go. Okay, and so then we're at the tip. Let's go on the A string. Go now. Rest. 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 We're back at the frog. Start again. Rest. And maybe you want to think 16ths. 1 E, 2 E. With feeling the slow pulse, right? Throwing subdivisions in there can be very helpful. Okay, good. So this is, of course, to be done on all strings and at varying elevations, but stick with it. More bow love. How about a little bit of off the string love? There are zillions of these things. Here are just a few for this June 2021 ISB coolness. Off the string, metronomes clicking at 40. Of course other tempos must be explored, faster and slower. And the idea behind this etude is that you're not reading a page that's a stream of open string 16th notes and the strings change with regularity. The idea is that you listen very carefully to yourself, and when you've heard a good number of notes with a very consistent sound, change strings. And then see if you can change back to the first string and have a consistent articulation on each of those notes once you've changed back. So regardless of where you are, regardless of which string, you're looking for consistent articulation to start with. Then we're going to move into groupings where we start to change, when we change strings, not always in a duple fashion. So we'll do a bunch of threes, but still in a 16th note subdivision, right? So 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a da 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 da, right? A bunch of threes still in a 16th note subdivision, and we'll change strings while we do that, and then we'll look at other patterns. I quite like the idea of the modern classical musician being a bit of the improviser's mind, the composer's mind, the creative person's mind, where we are ready for things that are a little off the beaten path. So let's do some eights. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, up to 8 and fours. My time got a little funky. I kind of rushed to change the string. Listen for stuff like that. After you do a bunch, and so remember, the number of times you do something is not regulated by me, by a page. It's you listening. You do it as many times as you need to feel consistent about it. Then we go on to threes. I'll do G for 4, D for 4, and I'll do that 4 times. And then I'll go to threes, and you'll see it comes out again with the click. 3 E and a 4 E and a. Fours to threes. Right? Did you hear that? 1 E and a 4 E and a. So you do da 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 da. Right? G, D. You do that 4 times and then it comes back out again on a downbeat. And of course we do this on other strings, right? D to A to E. And then we can start getting into other patterns. Well, there's a great deal of fantastic music that does not remain strictly duple or strictly triple for very long. What if we had something that was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4? Could we do that? Of course we could. G, D, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 E and comes out again after a while, after 7 perhaps, right? And other patterns. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, G, D, G, D, go, and cycle already passed twice. Could have stopped earlier. But the whole idea being that you just bounce the bow and do groupings and have a ball. Of course, you can employ the left hand and like to do things like contemporary bowing concepts, 5th, the A to the E. Of course, the stroke feels different when you have notes stopped. And for me, I like to do this practice when my fingertips are a little tender and my right arm's not quite done. I still have energy in it, so I'll do this kind of thing. Make sense? So I've written out a few bits of bow love. I've got them available for you, and more will be created very soon. All right, thanks for checking it out. Some more bow love here. I'd like to work on our subdivision and just having a stroke that gets progressively faster. The metronome's at 40. We're going to cut this into 4 articulations per beat, then 5, 6, 7, 8. We could continue upwards, but let's start with that for now. There are many a piece that call for 5 articulations in a beat. Mahler even has symphonic work that does 5s and 7s, you know, stuff that isn't just 20th century, that old music, or 21st century. So cutting the beat. I like to work on bouncing right away. Of course, this can be on the string, off the string. The point is to develop both bow sensitivity and time awareness. So 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is 6? So the idea is to be creative with this stuff. You're giving yourself an opportunity to play at the moment spiccato at a variety of speeds. Okay, great. Have fun with it. Notice as you go what needs more attention, and then stick with that, right? If D to G is feeling really cool, well, make sure that D to A feels really cool too, and back and forth between A and E. Make sure they all feel cool at 7. And then we go up to 8, 9, 10, you know. You see, I wiggled a little bit away from the beat in the first handful of beats I played, notes I played. All right, so then we're up to 10. We could go to 11, 12, have fun rhythmically. Is that fun to play in 11? We could do other more fun things with 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 7 can be divided in a few ways, like 4 plus 3. And then we've got another 4 to play. So what if we did something wild, like... Right? It comes out in the end, comes out in the wash. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? That adds up to 11. Then go back down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Wait for it. 4. Oh, all these great bass players. How could you not be terrified recording a video for you people? All right, have fun. Bow Love, go Bow Love. Check in with joshuadavis.org. From time to time, I put my students' work up there. The Penn State crew knows when email prompts come, and you're welcome to borrow whatever you want. All right, take care. I love to train double stops, but only briefly in a given practice session, right? It uses a fair amount more strength. Now, of course, we want to minimize just how much weight is going through your body, from your body through your fingers into the fingerboard. But it's going to be evident as we try to play less weight and find that we get harmonics and half tones. So experiment with what it is for your E and B on the A string and D string. What it is for them to sound without you crushing the neck, right? Play with having too little weight. There's an E that I like. There's an E that has too little weight, right? So now, left hand posture in lower positions. This is all about using these double stops to Help us develop strength in the left hand. Help us develop the curve in the left hand, right? So here's the pattern. It's 1-4, 1-2, 4-2, 4-1, 2-1, 2-4. You're back where you started. Variety of articulations are cool. And then, of course, you can play this stuff low. And you can be scared and play things like fifths that are too big, because you know lots of good bass players are listening to you. And then all this work, of course, can have creativity. I'm just making up rhythms and bowings and playing them not as individual pitches now, but as double stops, which is certainly what part of the practice should be. And then as we get on in the page, we do triple stops because it develops strength and flexibility, and if we are using the curve that we need. And you know, why these double stop exercises are so important for a great many of us is that there is a little bit too much flattening out in some younger players, right? This kind of flat finger business. A handful of people play amazingly well like that, but I've seen a lot of my students get cooler pitch pretty quickly once they start to adopt more of a curve. The last 3 lines of the page go to this contemporary place of an F major 7. Right? And play 1 bar as long as you want. Listen to just the dyads. Through the page thinking, oh, this is really great work for my left hand. I ought to slow down and practice it more deliberately. But you'll be smarter than me and do it that way right away. All right, great finger curve. Experiment with not crushing the neck by playing your notes very slowly and releasing tension until you lose the center of the sound, and then go ahead and put that pound or half pound or quarter ounce, whatever it may be, back in so that you can get a full tone because of how you're holding the string to the board. All right, have fun. Yeah, this whole thing of using the thumb down lower than the octave harmonic, totally buying into it. It took me a few times at ISB conferences witnessing it to get on board. And it's only a couple of years in my playing now, a year and a half, I forgot. It's not that old in my playing, but man, oh man, am I glad I've started to see the light. Thumb low, sweet chariot, is the name of this etude. Got it? It's not really that funny at all. We're going to go ahead with our thumb on an E on the A string. And we're going to employ this whole step system, whole step spacing between thumb and 1 and 1 and 3. It's to me, it's it's not exactly the way your hand would go when it's relaxed. It's just opening up a little bit the thumb, which is quite mobile and able to have considerable distance between it and index. So it's opening the thumb up a little bit here to a whole step. And we're going to play E mixolydian at first, which lets us have thumb 1, 3 on the A string. over to the D string, same thing, thumb 1, 3, over to the G string, thumb 1, 3. So it just lets the hand sit in this position. We're not worrying about shifting, we're just trying to get our thumb cool with playing some lower notes than some other older methods have asked of us. So I like to do this with a play along to get a nice secure E, right? You can also use your E string initially. And we'll go up and down Mixolydian a couple of times, and then we're going to have the thumb just boop, it's like it's on a little trigger, a little switch where the hand stays where it is, right? So the hand's going to stay where it is on the fingerboard, and the thumb's just going to come in for the D sharp, giving us an E major scale. And then we'll do Lydian, which means the thumb will be back for the opening E, and then when it moves over to the D string, it's going to, instead of play an A natural across from the E where we started, instead of that, it's going to play an A sharp. All this is written out on thumb, low, sweet, chariot, and we're going to take it real slow. Anyway, here we go. A little pitch reference. That's the deal. And that, of course, you play all over the bass. Could play it a little lower still. Go up and play it in F, and go up and play it in G flat, and G and A flat, and then start on a B on the A string. Just explore lots of registers. It's perfectly decent fingering. Useful, I think. Can slip in there, all with your hand doing nothing. Lazy. None of this business. Wait, maybe we're supposed to be able to do this business too. Let me go check. Okay, a little more left hand development. This is in thumb position. I call this the lowering thumb etude. As the thumb will slowly lower, the hand is going to adopt one elevation and work to stay there as best as possible. The idea is to be here on an A and let the hand hover. And we're going to have lots of chromaticism at first, and that chromaticism will retain in the upper 3 pitches, so in fingers 3, 2, and 1, but the thumb is going to bit by bit open out. So it's going to be a half step away from the index finger, and then it's going to be a whole step, and then it's going to be a minor third. I love the honesty sought with this pitch reference. Third line of the page. And then the final 3 lines of the page. Shifting when there's a whole step from 3 to 2 and 2 to 1, and then that half step to thumb. And then when that thumb opens up to its own whole step, I still need to make a little adjustment if you watch carefully, because my hand is not flexible enough or big enough. But I am staying fairly relaxed as this all goes down. And really what facilitates it, in my opinion, particularly well, is to have a nice curve in the left hand. I'll never forget the spring before going to grad school. I went to a lesson with Don Palma down at NEC. Drove down to Boston from New Hampshire. Very exciting, extremely scary on 1100 levels, and saw Don's left hand, and there was all kinds of curves. Like he got up on the string with these kinds of curves where the index finger is coming down. Right, where the index finger is coming down on the string at these angles. And that was just incredibly painful and took me some years to come to terms with, frankly. A lot of great players play with much longer digits, meaning much less bend in the knuckles, and make it work. This is our school from Don, who came from Orrin O'Brien, and quite a legacy. So that's the deal for now, little left hand stuff. And what was that at 54? I recommend playing this much slower and much faster when you're ready. Okay, cool. A real quick look at the curve in the left hand when doing this business up here with the third finger on the A on the D string. And as we work to lower the thumb, I like to get started finding this stuff by using the harmonics. The A here. And check your A and E harmonics there, right? But you can see
It's the thumb, just boom, boom. It's on the F sharp, it's on the F, what's that? F, yes, it's on the E. Yeah. Does that help? More creepy crawly thumb stuff. Fun to do. Just a bunch of fifths, and then expanding 2 digits at a time to upper 2 voices by a half step. Lots of stuff that you can find on a piece I wrote a few years back called U-Ray for double bass and violin. And it pertains to this lowering thumb business work that we're doing here. All right, have a ball. Right. Are you having a good time? I hope you're having a great time. I love this conference, by the way. This is, of course, recorded for the 2021 ISB conference, and sadly we can't all be together in person, but man, we're gonna get great stuff done. I learn a ton every time. I hope the same for you. Cool, let's get on to the next thing.